So to begin Cheryl's design, you're going to begin with about 3 feet of thread on a size 12 needle. From there, we're going to add a stop bead onto the project. The stop bead will be a bead that will come off eventually and is not included in the project. So I'm going to go ahead and add that 15 onto the thread, just leaving enough at the tail in order to tie a knot. From here, we're going to go in and actually begin in the center of the design, adding first our larger beads, which are going to be our MiniDuos and our EVA beads. To begin, I want you to pick up a MiniDuo, and then you're going to pick up an EVA bead. We're going to be picking up the EVA beads so they are facing upward. I'm looking at like that caret or that A signal, and let that drop down next to your stop bead. Coming out of the EVA, you're going to add 4 15s, and then just to spice it up a little bit, in her design Cheryl added a delica. I'm going to add a crystal just to put a little bit more shine on it, and this is the 1.5 by 2 millimeter crystal rondelles. After the crystal rondelle, go ahead and add another grouping of your 4 15s, and then come down the other side of the EVA bead. So that crystal, what's going to happen is it's just going to sit right on top of that little roof almost, and just kind of hang out there. Coming out then the bottom of the EVA bead, you can say I just kind of rotated it in my hand. We're going to add another MiniDuo, and after the MiniDuo this time we are going to add 3 of our delica beads. And those delica beads in the semi-frosted silver lined mulberry, so I have those dyed mulberry ones. I'm going back up then through the MiniDuo. And what that's going to do is put those 3 delicas, just like a little picot trim on the end of the MiniDuo. This will be important as we come back and kind of reinforce the middle and catch on to that. From here, we're going to continue putting on then in that upward caret, the EVA bead. Coming out then the top of the EVA bead, I want you to repeat the 4 15s. And then after the 4 15s, put one of the tiny rondelle crystals, and then 4 more 15s. Coming down the EVA, you're going to go down through the second hole, which again will repeat that design where the crystal is going to be right along the top. The crystal along the top then will just hang out there and we continue on. You're going to continue this obviously 5 times because we're getting that kind of star lotus design. And to continue that design, after you pick up your MiniDuo, keep in mind to add your 3 delica beads. Adding the 3 delica beads then, that brings them towards the center. You can go back up through the MiniDuo, through that second hole of the MiniDuo. Coming out the MiniDuo, again, we're going to add another one of our EVA beads through the middle of the little caret, and then add our crystals along the side. It's going to lay a little bit funky and not kind of sit right and cooperate. That's okay. We're going to make it cooperate kind of with the next step and get it into that star shape. As you add on your 5th EVA bead and you're coming around to the beginning of the design, you can see that it's kind of laying oddly. What we're going to do is we are actually going to sew into the open hole of that first MiniDuo, and you're sewing down towards the middle of the project. That's going to close up our little star here, and coming out there you can see that there's the stop bead there. I'm going to put in my 3 delica beads and then kind of push the stop bead back to the back of the project, go up through the MiniDuo and up through the EVA bead. If you catch on to, or the EVA bead, if you catch on to some of the 15os, not a problem because we're going to be catching on to those anyway. I want you to give a nice little tight yank and make sure that everything is kind of sitting and cooperating. Like I said, it might sit off. You can see it's not sitting exactly centered, and these things aren't exactly the way that you want it to sit. As we go around and add the interior and the exterior, that will be made up. So don't worry about that. Right now we're going to get to the next step. The next step is going to be following along and tracing our lines here along our seed bead, then going down and adding an 11-0, our little RoundDuo Mini, and an 11-0, and up around all of those seed beads and the crystal. While we're doing that, we're going to remember to actually add in our top of our earring. So I'm going through all of these 15 O's, and we're going to start actually with the top. Coming out the top there, I'm going to add my wire guard, and that is what my actual earring is going to sit on. Go ahead and pick up 2 15s. Again, we're coming out of one of those crystals on the peaks. I'm adding 2 15s and then my wire guard. Go down the wire guard on the other side, making sure that that thread is kind of trapped in that channel. Add 2 more 15s and sew through that same crystal going in the opposite direction. I'm going to push that tail out of the way. And you can see now you actually have the top of your earring on. So I'm just going to kind of make sure that there's not a lot of extra thread showing. You can reinforce it at this point if you want, or you can reinforce after. I'm going to come down the 4 15s on the other side of the crystal. And now we're going to go in and actually add our mini round duos. So again, we have 5 mini round duos because we're getting that star shape, and we have our 11 seed beads. On the side of each mini round duo through the first hole is going to be an 11 seed bead. From there, after putting them on, I'm going to go up through the 15s and the crystal and down the 15s above every one of my EVA beads. After coming around and kind of reinforcing that little edge, I'm going to add a 11, a RoundDuo Mini, an 11, and then into the next one. So I'm spiraling and circling the whole way around now, adding in this simple row of my mini round duos. I've got 3 more to add, and then I'll go through the crystal, reinforce my clasp one more time, and get connected back with you. So after going around and adding the RoundDuo Mini, I've reinforced the thread up here at the actual wire guard, going through the wire guard one more time and down to the 15-0s and through the crystal. From here, on the sides of each of the EVA beads, we've put 4 15-0s. I'm going to connect into the second hole of the RoundDuo Mini after going down through the first 2 15s. Exiting the first 2 15s, I'm going to add 2 more 15s and go through the RoundDuo Mini through that second hole. Again, exiting the RoundDuo Mini, 2 15s get put on my needle, and then I'm going to count the first 2 closest to the crystal, sew through those first 2 seed beads, and while I'm there, I might as well sew through the crystal. Sew through 2 more seed beads and come out. So you're always going through the first 2 before and after, adding 2 crystals, and then down to my RoundDuo. And you can see that just catches on a little bit to the side. You don't have to do that. Cheryl actually kept hers open. I liked the decorated look, adding in the extra seed beads to get a little bit more of a floral look rather than a star look. As you go in and add the 2 extra seed beads, when you get to the bottom RoundDuo Mini, and you'll know that it's the bottom because it's going to be across from the actual wire guard, I'm going to go in and we are going to add our drop or our briolette. Again, this is an optional step. You don't have to add the briolette. I think it just adds a lot to the design. I like the look of the drop here or the briolette. So if you want to add the drop, what Cheryl did was added an 11 seed bead, the drop, and then an 11 and went back up through. I'm going to add the briolette in the design, and to do so, to add the Potomac briolette, I'm going to add 3 of my 15s, sew through the briolette. Remember, I'm coming out the second hole of the RoundDuo Mini, and then I'm going to add 3 more 15s onto the needle. From here, I'm going to sew back through the RoundDuo, going in a circle. That's going to put that teardrop right on the bottom there. And then I'm going to continue adding in my 2 seed beads and continuing right along the line, getting back to the top, adding in that second hole of my RoundDuo Mini. Once you've gone around the design and established the 2 beads around the outside of the RoundDuo Mini, we're going to work our way back to the interior and connect the interior of the design so that way it doesn't have that kind of that flopping effect. To do so, I'm going to sew down through the first 2 15ths, just like if I was still going around the circle to add in my extra seed beads along the top. And instead what you're going to do is work your way towards the center with your needle. So I'm going to go down through then the second two, so going down the whole 4 seed beads along that EVA bead. Once I'm down through those, I'm going to go through the EVA bead, and then also through the mini RoundDuo, or I'm sorry, the MiniDuo. From there then, I'm going to sew through my delica beads, going through all 3 delicas. So your needle and thread should be coming out at the end of one of those picot trims. In Cheryl's design, she linked hers with 2 delica beads. I'm going to switch out for a little bit more bling, and I am going to fill my space in with my crystal rondelles. So I'm going to pick up a crystal rondelle and then sew through that entire picot trim. So I'm sewing through all of those delica beads. Just kind of make sure you push that starter thread out of the way. We'll go ahead and kind of get to that when we finish off the design. So again, I'm coming out one of the delica sections here. I'm going to go in and sew through all 3 delicas. So a crystal is going to end up sitting kind of parallel or right below the crystal on the exterior of the EVA. So you're going to go ahead and do this 5 times, adding in the crystals, because everything that you do on this earring, because it does have that star shape to it, that 5-pointed star, you are doing 5 times. When you get back here, if you're near the starter thread, again, just kind of push that seed bead that's at the starter thread to the back. If you want to, you can even pull it back a little bit, the starter bead itself, and kind of slide it to the back. Along the front then here, I have 1 more crystal to add in. And then I'll sew into the first 2 delicas. What I want you to do is come out of that top delica bead. So you're coming out of that kind of picot trim in that grouping of 3. What you're going to do then is we're going to go through and add some 15-ohs to join and gather in. We're going to add 2 15-ohs between each one of our MiniDuos here, and we're going through that middle bead of the MiniDuo. So go ahead and pick up 2 15s onto your needle, and then after those 2 15s, connect to that middle delica bead, and that's going to put those 2 15s right inside of the crystal. 2 more 15s go on, and I'm grabbing the next of my center delica beads. That's going to pull those delicas in a little bit as well and stabilize our middle. On go 2 seed beads and onto the delica. Finishing up then, I'm going to add my 2 seed beads, go through the center of the delica. The last 2 get added on, and then back to that starter one through that center delica. At this point, everything is added, everything looks good, and you have your nice little lotus flower star here. I'm going to end my thread by going through, back through that picot trim, up through my MiniDuo. And it is a little bit tricky, but you want to get through that MiniDuo and just the MiniDuo. Don't go through the EVA bead. Go down through the MiniDuo on the other side, which is going to put a tiny bit of that thread exposed on the inside of the MiniDuo, but you'll never see it. Link on actually to the crystal there, and then push your thread and needle towards the back of the project. You can see that starter bead there. I'm going to take the starter bead off the project, sliding it off. Take those 2 thread ends then that are right next to one another and simply tie them together. And that's going to be the ending of the earrings. So it's nice and simple. It uses just a couple of each materials. That way you can check it out. I used the white Lila Vega luster in the EVA bead. And you just need 5 per piece, so whether or not you're doing it as a pendant or you'll need 10 for a set of earrings. You're going to use 5 of your RoundDuo Minis as well per piece, and 5 MiniDuos. For the crystals, you're going to end up using, if you want to use the crystals, that smaller crystal on the outside, you're going to use 10 per earring, so 20 total of those smaller ones. And then whatever drops you want to add, if you want to add drops to the bottom as well, you can check those out and add in the drops. Just a couple delica beads get used, and whether or not you want to use those delicas all in the center. I love Cheryl's metallic look that she has it silver and gold based, and then kind of the fun look of doing it in a color. You can see how different it looks just with a color versus gold. I did use, again, those semi-frosted silver lined purple beads, as well as the 15-Os I used in the transparent light amethyst. The 15-Os that I used in my design were a Toho brand. In Cheryl's design, she has the Miyuki in the gold. And then she has the galvanized silver delicas in her design. And we went with the RoundDuo Mini in the Aztec gold color, and also the Crystal Lab color. You can see at the top too in Cheryl's design, she added a little crystal on the top. I kept it so it was more in the design. Fun things that you can do with these. Again, if you need any of the materials, you can go back to the list in the beginning of the video. I also just kind of listed them out for you. And then also we have links below the video that if you look in the description below the video, we're happy to ship you and supply you with any of the supplies you may need. So check out the links in the description as well. Also remember, you can check the little bell to become notified when you have new videos out. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel. Give me a little thumbs up. That helps me to know whether or not you like the different designs we're doing, if we're headed in the right direction, and if you found this helpful. Also comment below if you've done the design, what your favorite things are, the changes that you've made or alterations that you may have made as well. Keep in mind, you can always become a member of our beading group for jewelry and beading making, or beading and jewelry making rather. And becoming a member there kind of gets you access to an amazing group of people that love to be part of the community, help to give you design ideas and inspire, answer questions, and it's really just a great forum and interaction there as well. As always, with all of the projects and the designs, make sure that you're having fun and that you're enjoying making your jewelry. And if you get a chance to make Cheryl's earrings, have fun checking out our new EVA beads and our mini round duos.